Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be taking on Dead Man's Wharf, so let's hop into it. I went ahead and upgraded my Estus Flask to +1 before we started. Anyways, moving on. Pretend like that didn't happen. Okay, that hit me, I guess. So in this area, we should be able to pick up the Greatsword, if I remember correctly, and get this strength build underway. I'm gonna ignore that dog. Hopefully he does the same for me. I think there's a Titanite shard in here. Yep. Okay. I think the guy that was up here hopped down. Yep. GG. Alright, dog's still chilling. Alright, bit of an ambush here. That guy's probably going to hop down. There's a couple guys in that building. I think there's two in there. And of course this guy right here. I was hoping I'd clip this guy on my right with that swing. As you can see, shields in Dark Souls 2, very, very good. They completely bounce off of me every time I swing. Some dark pine resin. What the hell? I swear I just heard a dog. Come on down, big guy. Alright, got a torch from him. So there are a whole bunch of areas to light, or places for you to light up a torch, I guess, a standing torch. I don't know what to call it, but these things here, and it'll just pretty much make your life easier. The whole place will be brighter, easier to see. But other than that, no real advantage. That up there is literally a giant chandelier. So if you happen to have a spare Pharaoh's Lockstone, like I do right there, you can actually pop that into a place later on in this area, and the whole place will light up pretty much. It actually does have a pretty big advantage. There's only one area in this, or one reason I'd say, other than just convenience, to light this area up. I don't know why, I'm just missing some of my swings here. There's an enemy we'll encounter later on that's really afraid of fire. Could be the light itself, but if you hold a torch, they'll kind of run away from you. So that's the reason that that mechanic exists in this area. Right here we have Lucatiel of Mira.
And you don't know me. Things are better. You are an odd one. Normally, people keep a safe distance when they see this mask. But you... I'm called Lucatiel. From the land of Mira to the far east, across the mountains. They say Drang Lake brims with powerful souls, and so I came to claim my share. But what a strange place. Even the rumors did not prepare me. You are an odd one indeed. I've always made a point of avoiding people, while you've made a point of engaging me. I can see that you are mid-journey. If you require assistance, I will help you. I come from Mira, a land of knights. My sword is always ready. Don't hesitate to call upon me. Whatever happens, I won't be missed.
Alright, so there you go. She's basically like the equivalent of Solaire in this game. Even though she doesn't actually give you the summoning sign, she's basically just going to be that one NPC summon that you can count on being available for not all the bosses, but quite a few of them. And as such, she does have her own quest line. I won't spoil the ending as of right now, but if you want to do it, basically you just have to summon her, I think, in 3 bosses and have her survive the boss fight. I want to say she's available for 4 and you have to keep her alive for 3 of them. So like, just in case you miss her summon sign or she dies in one of them, you're not completely out of luck. Oh boy. Okay, so then those guys are throwing, they're not fire bombs as you noticed. They're actually oil, and if they hit you with them, you're going to be coated in oil. And these guys shooting, why did I just watch it? These guys shooting fire arrows, it'll hit you, and you'll basically explode. Your whole body will go up in flames. You'll take a lot of damage. Same thing if you're coated in oil, and you try to like light a torch, come into contact with fire in any way, you'll basically just explode. So be careful of that. Now, I want to see. I do not seem to have. I think it's called like a flame butterfly or something. There's an item in this game that you can just use and it'll light your torch for you. Otherwise, you have to actually go find a light source. So the nice part is, well, I want to see. Okay, no, that's the ceiling, so I can't grab that. Most of the time, you just go to a bonfire, and you basically just toggle the options from rest, and it'll allow you to light your torch. And you only have a certain amount of time with it, but in all my years of playing, I've never actually ran out. And you see there, I've got 45 minutes with it, so it shouldn't be a problem. So the nice part is, if you do need a torch in this area, you can basically just keep lighting all these stands right here, and then you won't have to go back all the way to the bonfire to get more torch. Because if you put it away, it'll go out, and you'll have to find another source of fire to relight it. I don't know why when I come through here, I usually like to light up all of them. I just like the way it looks, I guess. But the one that we were standing by when I did stop and turn around to go grab the torch, that is a rather important one actually, so that's why I decided to go grab it. And the reason will become apparent here in just a moment. So I'm going to take care of this guy here, because like I said, if we do get hit by that oil and then try to, or while we're holding a torch even, I think it'll just kind of make us explode. So I'm gonna light that. Avoid the arrow this time. Now this enemy right here is what I was talking about. So these guys absolutely hate fire. Eventually they'll kind of get over their fear and just go completely berserk, so be careful of that. They also hit quite hard. As you see, that swing that he just took at me knocked down the wall, so. Okay, so I believe the greatsword's in one of these. He's probably gonna knock down that wall there. Trap chest. Always fun. I guess he's relaxed a bit. Nope. Alright, got the greatsword. I'll see you guys later. They do a ton of bleeding damage, so be careful of that. But they can be backstabbed. Oddly enough. Oh. Varangian sword. There we go. So I'm just going to keep the torch with me. I think there's at least one more of those creatures. I'm not really sure what they're called. Make sure before you jump down here you hit this lever. Very, very important. The boss is on that ship and he's kind of hard to get to. because most Dark Souls characters don't know how to swim, so call into the docks. There's really only one way up to that lever, so if you do drop down, you pretty much just have to start over the level. Okay, let's see. Got these weird ninja guys. They have really cool armor actually, and you can get it, although it's a pretty rare drop. It used to be really difficult to get. The only way, or the only place in the entire game, I think there's one more over there. Oh, wait. No, you're different. The only place in the entire game they existed was inside this boss fight that we're about to do, but only on New Game Plus. So, and there are only 2 of them. So, literally what you'd have to do is go into the boss fight, kill them both while you're trying to avoid the boss, and if they didn't drop the item that you wanted, you would have to respawn the boss on a different, like, New Game cycle. Of course, in Dark Souls 2, you are able to use something called a bonfire aesthetic, which will basically just respawn all the enemies and the boss in the area, but in the next New Game version. So lots of good stuff to be found in this room. All these jars are filled with poison. I don't know if you can see inside. It's like green, sort of. But if you roll through them, or you accidentally hit them, or anyone hits them even, the enemy too, while you're too close to them, you will be poisoned. So we're going to try to avoid that. Not really an illusory wall there, but a wall you can go through nonetheless. I believe that we get the Royal Soldier ring in this chest. Yep. Okay, so this is basically Dark Souls 2's equivalent of Havel's ring. I'll swap it out for the stone ring. So you can see my equipment load there. We're at 62%. Or actually, I should say we're at 50.5 units for our max. This gets us to 55.6. Not nearly as good as Havel's ring, but there are like different tiers of rings in Dark Souls 2. So like we can get the Royal Soldier or Swordsman? Soldier. Royal Soldier's ring +2 and +3, which are both better. So now that illusory wall, again, it's not really an illusion like it was in Dark Souls 1, but the way that works is you actually have to press A on it, so and there's really no way of knowing. You just kind of remember after you play through a few times, but try A if you know there's an illusion somewhere, and if that doesn't work, try hitting it, and if neither of those work, it's probably just a regular wall. This is Gavlan. You look in the wheel and deal, you're gonna want to hit up Gavlan.
Soul. Many soul. What you want. With Gavlan, you will, you deal.
Alright, so he's pretty much harmless. He sells some good stuff though. He's got poison moss if you do get poisoned. Lots of poison throwing knives, and some rotten pine resin, which is, they had all kinds of new resins in this game. Like pretty much anything you could possibly want, status effect wise or elemental wise, there's a resin for it. He also sells poison arrows, which are really nice. So if you talk to him in like every location he appears in, he actually gets like a permanent spot to settle down later in the game. And you can come back to that anytime you want to sell stuff or buy from him, and I believe it bumps his stock up to infinite uses, like you can get as many poison arrows as you want. And then of course you can sell stuff with him too, so anything you have that you don't want, like this mail breaker for instance, I know that I'll never use, you can just kind of dump with him. He'll give you some souls. Then I suppose I should point this out too. This is sort of a shortcut. I mean, not sort of, it is. And I don't know if you remember, this is the spot, there's an archer shooting fire arrows at us right here, and then right here on the end of this little walkway was the guy throwing oil bombs at us, and right above us right up there is where those kind of dark beasts are. I'm not sure what they're actually called, to be honest. I've never really heard. And they don't drop anything that really gives any clues to that. Actually, you know what? I kind of remember they have like a chance to drop pieces of the basic Pyromancer set, the tattered cloth armor that there's no Pyromancer class in Dark Souls 2, but in Dark Souls 1, the armor set you start with as a Pyromancer. So kind of interesting. Not really sure what the significance of that is. So there are just a few items in here, which is why I wanted to point it out. Including the Brigand set. So I'm going to run back upstairs just so I can point this out without the interference of enemies. But you can see right behind him there's a slot on the floor for the Pharos Lockstone, which will light up that chandelier. And also those like busted wheelbarrows, wagons, whatever right there, and all those barrels. You can break through those and actually just come through this way originally, but this gate right here will be blocked, seeing as you can only open it from this side with that lever. So I really have never seen any point in going through that area first. I thought someone was following me. It's just Gavlan drinking. Okay, so yep, there is one more little dark beast down there, so I'm going to grab the torch again. This is one of those areas in the game that durability is going to become an issue. The longer the area, the more enemies you have to fight, the more likely it is that you'll have a broken weapon on your hands by the time you get to the boss. Oh, he fell here from way earlier. That's why I don't remember there being an enemy there, but I guess I knocked him down a long time ago. So if you roll in the water, it's pretty obvious, but you might not think about it. You will actually put out the torch, so be careful of that. There you go, we're at risk here. I say, look, it's a good thing. So the boss is right there, but we do not want to fight him with a broken weapon. So you kick this down, and this is the shortcut you want. As you can see, we are right back at the beginning of the level, so very, very convenient. I'm going to go ahead and rest at the bonfire, reset my weapons and everything, and my Estus. I think, yeah, I only used one of them, so not too big a deal. But I still have, I have the Ring of Restoration on. That's why my health has not been an issue. Like I said when we picked it up, it doesn't regen by much, but I mean, if you're not getting hit very often, it really does save you some healing. Knock him into the water. We won't need the torch anymore, so don't worry about that. It's really only, I guess, necessary. It's not necessary at any point, to be honest with you, but the place where you'll want it the most is, oh my god. Hit me with the full combo. The place where you want it the most is right up on top of that ridge when you first encounter those strange creatures. Now over here is your sorcery vendor.
I see light. I see light. I am Carillion.
So yeah, he won't talk to you unless you have a certain amount of intelligence. Let's see what I have. I have 3. So I want to say it's like 10, 11 maybe. It could even be 20. If you're a sorcerer, you like he'll talk to you by default, I believe. So anyone that actually needs sorceries, you should have no problem with that. But you can talk to him, and he will go back to Majula if you exhaust his dialogue. And of course, he can sell you various spells. So another guy right here. Okay, so if I remember correctly, use a human effigy real quick. Yes, can get Lucatiel for this fight. So I'm gonna try to oh, didn't have my hands on the controller. I'm gonna try to do her quest line in this series, just because I don't really have to go too far out of my way to do it, you know, might as well try. She might die in some boss fights, not much you can do, but we should be okay. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but I do know 100% that you have room to miss her summon sign for at least one boss fight, or allow her to die once, so I wouldn't stress about it too much. She actually does a fair bit of damage, but the best part about NPCs in Dark Souls 2 is they're absolute tanks. They have so much HP. As you can see, she's been hit like 3 times probably. Look how much health she has still. It's kind of insane. So if you can get the boss to aggro to NPCs, NPC summons that is, you're gonna be alright. One other thing I'd point out, if you don't want to go back to the bonfire for whatever reason, or it's not really convenient, repair powder, obviously, you use it, it'll restore probably 50-60% of your durability, maybe. A good bit, not all of it. So yeah, keep that in mind. So here we got the Flexile Sentry. Only real hard part about him is there is no getting behind him. You try to get to the side, but both sides can attack, so they can't both attack at once though, so that's good. Another thing to point out, over the course of this fight, the room will actually, or the water in the room will actually continue to rise all the way up to like around waist deep actually, and the longer it goes on, the slower you're going to move because of the deep water. So time is sort of the essence. Wow, I'm having a really easy time here. Like I just pointed out before we started, if the boss aggroes the NPC, you're pretty much fine. See, he takes down nearly half my health in one swing. Look how much health she still has after tanking literally everything. I will say, the sword side, in my opinion, is far more dangerous. It's quicker, I think. And there we go. So, pretty simple fight. And that was even with around double health because I had a summon, so really not too big of an issue. But you can see how deep the water is now. It's kind of difficult to move around compared to how fast I'd be moving had I just been walking on a regular dry surface. But like I pointed out earlier, those like ninja guys, fighting 2 of them at the same time while in that little tiny boss fight and not having the most mobility in the world, kind of a headache, and I'm glad that they got rid of that system because the armor they have is pretty cool. Pyromancy Flame and the Fireball spell in this chest, and then to continue, you just examine this table here. Now I will say, after you examine this table, you will have no opportunity to come back in here and open this chest unless you go all the way through Dead Man's Wharf again from the very beginning. So this is going to take us to another cove. You can't really see anything from here. Not too much farther to go before we wrap up this episode, but I did of course want to show you guys where the next bonfire is. A couple of guys sleeping on the job in here. Murder is the best alarm clock. Oh, that's right, that kick will literally drain all of your stamina if you're trying to block, so be careful of that. Maybe not if you have a great shield, but chances are you probably either don't have a great shield at this point in the game, or you do but you don't have the strength to use it. So see an item right there? I'll show you guys how to get that real quick while we are here. Trying to remember actually. Gotta be a little fancy with the elevator. Think. Alright, let's hit that, run out real quick. I think you can just ride the ceiling down. Yeah, that should work. Okay. Gotta remember, I think it's on this side. Yes, okay. Get scimitar and some repair powder, and you can just drop right back down through that hole and head back up. Stocking up on repair powder, really not a bad idea. There are worse weapons for durability in this game than the longsword for sure. I wouldn't say it's good, but it's pretty average, and I'm kind of struggling with having a broken weapon at the end of pretty much every zone. So, a couple of things to pick up in these cells here. Not in that one. Right there. Soul of Proud Knight, a Radiant Life Gem. I think that's it actually for this room. So then we are in the Lost Bestiaire. This is actually the back entrance. So you can, it makes that pursuer boss fight technically optional. There are two, it's a very big area and there are two ways to get through it. So if you do want to go through Dead Man's Wharf, you can come this way. And I think, I'm trying to remember, I think you can actually choose to either do, oh, it's No Man's Wharf, not Dead Man's Wharf, my bad. I think you can either do No Man's Wharf or the Pursuer boss fight. I don't think you actually have to go through both ways, but we will we'll cover both in the next episode. I'll show you. Well, I don't know if I will. I probably will. I don't know. Till next time, though, we will be going through this area from one side or the other in the next one. So, till that happens, thank you for watching and have a good one.